Let's deal with the salivary glands today. However, we know the salivary glands have been divided into two types, the major salivary glands and the minor salivary glands. The major salivary glands have been again divided into the parotid gland, submandibular gland and the sublingual gland. You can see the parotid gland which is present in the preauricular region, whereas the submandibular gland is present in the floor of the mouth, whereas sublingual gland present just anterior to the submandibular gland. Let's deal with the parotid gland. Parotid gland is the largest gland. It is present between the posterior border of the mandibular ramus and anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid below the external auditory meatus. The secretions of the parotid gland are serous type. The duct which is present in the parotid gland is Stensen's duct, which pierces the buccinator and opens next to the maxillary second molar. The blood supply for the parotid gland is through the glandular branches of the superficial temporal artery and transverse facial artery. Next, we'll deal with the submandibular gland. The submandibular gland is situated in the anterior part of the digastric triangle. It is J-shaped indentation by posterior border of the mylohyoid. The submandibular gland divided into superficial portion and the deep portion. The superficial portion is a larger part, whereas the deep portion is a smaller part. The superficial portion is present between the lateral portion of the mylohyoid and the submandibular fossa of the mandible, whereas the deep portion, the smaller part, is present between the base of the tongue and the sublingual gland in the floor of the mouth. The secretions of the parotid gland are submandibular gland are of mixed type. The duct which is present in the submandibular gland is a Wharton's duct, crosses the lingual nerve at the anterior part of the hyoglossus and opens at the sublingual caruncle. The blood supply for the submandibular gland is through the glandular branches of the facial nerve and the lingual arteries, whereas the common facial vein or the lingual vein for the venous supply. Next, we'll deal with the sublingual gland. The sublingual gland, which is present below the floor of the mouth, medial to the sublingual fossa of the mandible and lateral to the genioglossus and superior to the mylohyoid. The secretions of the sublingual gland are of mucus type. The duct which drains the sublingual gland is Bartholin's duct, which empties into the submandibular duct at the sublingual papilla. The blood supply for the sublingual gland is through the glandular branches of the lingual artery and submental arteries. Let's check out a video for the parotid gland. We can see the parotid gland, which is pyramidal in shape here, which is present in the preauricular region. Next, the functions of the parotid gland is it secretes 30% of the salivary secretions, and it is bilateral and paired gland, which is present in the preauricular area. Parotid gland produces the parotid plexus, which divides it into the superficial and the deep part. You can see the Stensen's duct here, which is present opposite to the maxillary second molar, which drains through the parotid papilla. The Stensen's duct pierces the buccinator muscle and now we can see the relations of the parotid gland. It is related anteriorly by the masseter muscle and the mandibular ramus, superiorly by the external acoustic meatus and the condyle of the mandible in the glenoid fossa, posteriorly by the mastoid process of the temporal bone and sternocleidomastoid muscle, inferiorly by the angular tract of Isler. Next, medially it relates by the styloid process and transverse process of the atlas. Here, when it comes to the blood supply of the parotid gland, it is supplied by the terminal branches of the superficial temporal artery and the maxillary artery, which are all the terminal branches of the external carotid artery. Now we'll check out the innervations of the parotid gland. The sensory innervation is by the auricular nerve, which is deriving from the trigeminal nerve. Parasympathetic innervations are by glossopharyngeal nerve through the lesser-petrosal nerve. Now we'll check out that innervations in all the glands. The major salivary glands, parotid gland, submandibular and the sublingual gland, the sympathetic innervation is same. That is the postganglions through the superior cervical ganglion. The parasympathetic innervation for the parotid gland is carried out by inferior salivary nucleus, that is through the glossopharyngeal nerve. The parasympathetic postganglionic innervations are carried out by otic ganglion through the auriculotemporal nerve to the parotid gland. In the submandibular gland, the parasympathetic innervations of preganglionic are carried out by superior salivary nucleus through the cauda-tympanic nerve of the seventh nerve, that is the facial nerve. The parasympathetic innervation of postganglionic are carried out by the submandibular gland is carried out by the submandibular ganglion to the submandibular gland. Next, the parasympathetic innervations of preganglionic neuron of submandibular gland are carried out by superior salivary nucleus through the cauda-tympanic nerve of the facial nerve, whereas the parasympathetic postganglionic neurons is carried out by submandibular ganglion to the sublingual gland. Now we'll check out some of the questions related to the NEET regarding this topic. See, the salivary glands are of which type? They are the exocrine glands, which means the supply will be through the duct. The secretions will be through the duct. For example, the parotid gland supplies through the parotid duct, whereas submandibular gland supplies through the Wharton's duct and the sublingual gland supplies through the Bartholin's duct. The most common modification of the salivary protein prior to their secretion is through the glycosylation. What is this glycosylation means? It is a biochemical reaction which occurs in the salivary gland. Next, the discharge of the granular content in a serous cell occurs by exocytosis. What is this exocytosis means? The exocytosis means the secretions of the substance are carried out from the cytoplasm to the plasma membrane. The next question will be, the primordium of the parotid and the submandibular gland appears during the 6th week of intrauterine life. The primordium of the sublingual gland appears during the 10th week of intrauterine life. Thank you.